Hey Andy, sorry, no, I was on the phone with my vet. Um, I took my cats in for their annual checkup and it did not go well, so was just on the phone with them. They called right before the stream started, so I clicked live to go live, but I guess I didn't really get everything set up while I was talking to them, so I apologize for that. But welcome, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I'm keeping my head up. It's just one more thing to add to the list of things that have been bad things to deal with here over the past couple of months. But I'm resilient, so we'll make it through. But thank you for the thoughts. I appreciate it. Well, I'm not British, but I will do my very best. Yeah, English. I'm sorry. Yeah, not English, but I will certainly do my very best. Besides, you hear that a lot from content creators, and everyone treats their lives differently and that sort of stuff. Me, I'm normally a very private person, and I try not to let any of my personal, stuff going on impact my content that I'm giving to you guys. But occasionally, stuff happens, and when it inevitably does impact the content I'm giving you guys, I want to explain it. But it's not as, I don't use it as an excuse. I don't use it to, to garner any sympathy or anything like that. That's just not the type of person I am. I just want to make sure that if I'm not providing the best content on a regular basis that I can for you guys, that I explain it to you. So yeah, and I've always been a glass half empty kind of guy. So even when I was in the military, it was you plan for the worst and hope for the best. And that's kind of how I've lived my life. And that way, when things turn out well, which a lot of things have in my life, I'm certainly not complaining about it. Those are happy surprises that lift everything else up. So I've been talking to my best friend over in London quite a bit, and one of my other really good friends in Manchester over the past couple of weeks. I know that there's been a lot of things happening over there in the UK as well. So been talking to them, having them keep their heads up and stay safe and all that sort of stuff. It's always good to keep in touch with my friends overseas and make sure that they're doing all right, especially when you hear about things going on and just making sure all your friends and loved ones are safe. No, I appreciate that, Andy. Thank you very much. I don't claim to, like I say, there's a lot of really good content creators for this game. So, I appreciate that. One of these days, I will turn my channel a little bit more professional. I'll hire somebody to do some graphics and get a logo and all that sort of stuff up there. To be a little more professional, that's kind of one of my New Year's type of plan things, is to do a channel overhaul and that sort of stuff. So we'll see if we can start looking a little bit more professional here fairly soon. Yeah, I mean, it's certainly, you know, been doing the job, and I'm not disappointed in it, but I know it could be a lot better, and I know that it's really just me investing a little more time and money into the channel to, you know, to help improve things a little bit. So I'll certainly take a look at it come down the end of the year. I used to do graphic design back in college when I was a lot younger than I am now, but I'm not foolish enough to think that I could suddenly get back into it now. So I'll probably look at some consultants to bring in to do some branding stuff and get things set up for me. But I don't know, we'll see how it goes when we get to that point. Yeah, I mean, the money thing is, I mean, I'll tell you right now that the money that it took to get started doing this, and small streamers don't have to do what I did, but I started a company. I started an LLC so that my streaming business and my personal life are separated. So if I do end up doing something really bad or saying something really bad and I get sued, you know, my personal life is separate from my business, and, you know, the costs of, and also to maintain, you know, some form of anonymity in my personal dealings with the internet. But I certainly haven't made all the costs it took to set all that up, you know, to register a business and all the legal expenses and licensing and all that sort of stuff. I haven't made that money back due to, you know, my view hours and that sort of stuff. I'm not shy about telling people, you know, how much the channel makes, at all. But I can tell you that, you know, in the year or something I've been doing this, and the 8 months maybe that it's been monetized, I mean, I know I haven't even made back a quarter of what it took to start, you know, the business and get things set up. But that's just because I don't care about the money. I tell people all the time, I'm never going to ask for a subscription or a like or anything like that, because I just don't care about the money. I'm fortunate enough to have some spare income that if I can put it into the channel and make it look a little better or be a little more professional for everybody, then I'm happy to do it. So, but thank you for the thoughts. Like I say, I certainly appreciate it. Welcome everyone to today's live stream, episode number 54 of our Baldur's Gate 3 Bard gameplay series. I'm Commander Jorval, and I want to thank you all for coming along on our journey today. So, hey David, welcome. I hope it's not mine. If there's something wrong with my audio, let me know. But seems like everything's going okay on my end. But on our admin notes, I don't think we have anything on the game this week. I talked about the 1-year anniversary and the post that Larian put up over last week. I talked about that over the weekend, and that sort of stuff. So feel free to go check those out. It's storming here tonight, but that's a good thing for us. Gonna keep the temperature down for at least a little bit before it comes back up and goes sky high. So if you do hear any thunder or anything in the background, that's what it is. But I think we should be okay. So on our recap, at the end of last week's episode, we finished up the encounter with the hag. And then we went up and we walked into the Devil's Feet to begin prepping, I will say, for the House of Hope. Now, we are not going to go into the House of Hope today. I would like to do that relatively soon, but I think we're going to do it after we finish up the companion quest that we have. The House of Hope in our current playthrough is a main storyline quest, unlike the Paladin playthrough. So I would like to make sure that I've finished up all the other stuff and then do that as kind of the finale before we head into Orin and then make our way into the upper city. So I know everyone would like to see that because it's unseen content on the channel so far, but I think we have a much better order to do this in. And that means we're going to jump in with Shadowheart today. We're still going to start in the Devil's Feet. So we'll jump in here and we will look at the inventory here. We will do a little bit of exploration here in the Devil's Feet, and then we're going to head toward the House of Grief, because we definitely want to finish up Shadowheart's quest line. Okay, so we came in here last time. We did our searching around, if you remember. We passed our Arcana checks and that sort of stuff, and we got access to Helsik's full inventory.
My most prospective customer. Welcome back.
Okay, and we talked about... No, we didn't talk about these, I don't believe, last time. There are 6 main items that Helsik is going to have, and most of them are really good. So, the caitiff staff, really by itself, a +1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls is always great. That's another 5% chance to hit. The +2 weapon enchantment doesn't really do anything. You're not really meleeing with your staves. The real important part here about the caitiff staff is caitiff's restoration, and this lets you replenish 1 expended warlock spell slot. And because warlock spell slots are not based upon level, it just allows you to refresh 1 of them, and at whatever level your warlock spell slot is. So this can be incredibly useful both in and out of combat, to help get additional Divine Smites back if you're using Divine Smite or Warlock spell slots for Divine Smites, or just if you've gone full Warlock to be able to get a really high level spell slot back, utilizing this outside of combat. So the caitiff staff is like those pearlescent amulet type of things that restore wizard spell slots and that sort of thing. It's something good to have in your inventory that you can use when you need it. The Hellbeard Halberd is one of those few weapons that deals poison damage on its own. The 1d4 psychic damage is from my gear setup on my Bard right now. But the +6 poison damage is what comes with the weapon. And like I said, pluses to poison damage and a flat +6, which is the equivalent of 1d10 on average poison damage, is incredibly rare to see on weapons. So the +6 poison here can be very, very useful. When you're utilizing it, it is a two-handed halberd, so it goes along with Great Weapon Master and that sort of stuff, and it is also a +2 weapon. The Shapeshifter hat is one of the few druid-specific based items. This gives you an additional wild shape charge, and this additional charge is restored upon taking a long rest. So it's basically, if you have 2, you now have 3 up until your long rest. If you have 3, you have 4. So it can be very, very useful because you normally don't have a huge amount of wild shape charges. And this allows you to get an additional one. Now, this does not refresh on a short rest. That's important to realize. Whereas wild shapes normally refresh after a short rest, this one additional charge does not refresh on a short rest, just after a long rest. The Cloak of the Weave is great. This goes along with the Cative Staff and with 3 other items that can give you a plus bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls. This is the only one I'm aware of that goes on a cloak. So having an additional 5% here for your spell save DC and spell attack rolls, and then when you start stacking that with Arcane Acuity, which gives you stacks of bonus to spell save DC, you can have a 100% chance of landing things like Hold Monster against Raphael and that sort of stuff. So if you're going into those boss fights, this can help trivialize those by making those debilitating spells much, much easier to land. So the Cloak of the Weave is a great thing to have. Even if it doesn't fit with one of your builds, it's something you put in your camp chest, and then before you go into one of those massive boss enemy fights, you can respec or rebuild a character around it to make sure they can land those spells. It also comes with Absorb Elements. This is something that's somewhat useful, in that it works on attacks. It doesn't say weapon attacks. It works on attacks. So if you get dealt fire damage, for instance, then the next time you use something that has an attack roll, whether that be a spell or a ranged weapon or a melee weapon, you're going to do 1d6 fire damage on top of that. Now, it's only for your next attack roll. So if you use something like Magic Missile or something, or not Magic Missile, but Eldritch Blast, which has individual attack rolls, I believe, and it's been a long time since I tested this, I believe it only works on the first roll, the attack roll. The others in that don't benefit from it. But the +1 bonus to spell save DC and spell attack rolls by itself is enough to buy this cloak. The Gemini gloves are very interesting. Cantrips targeting foes and allies can target an additional creature. The same target can be chosen twice. So any cantrip that has a single target going with it can now do 2. However, if your cantrip also has multiple targets, it now gets an additional target. So for instance, if your Eldritch Blast does 3, then the Gemini gloves allow you to do 4. Okay? So a very, very powerful set of gloves for certain builds. But then also something like Firebolt or just something simple like that. Now, when this is activated, you can target 2 enemies and not just 1. And last is the spell-seeking gloves. And when you make a spell attack roll, you can spend a sorcery point to gain advantage. This costs 1 sorcery point per spell slot level. Cantrips cost 1 sorcery point. Now, one thing that I haven't tested with these, and that I was going to try and test this week, and I just ran out of time, is whether if you're doing something like Eldritch Blast that has individual attack rolls for each beam, does it cost you 1 sorcery point per beam, because it says when you make a spell attack roll. So does it then pop up and ask you if you want to make that attack roll with advantage for every beam, or is it just 1 that applies to all 3 attack rolls? I'm pretty sure that you have to spend a sorcery point per attack roll that you make. So if you're doing Eldritch Blast and you're doing 3 beams, you'd have to spend 3 sorcery points to have all 3 of those beams get advantage. But I haven't tested it enough to know for sure one way or another. But this can certainly give you a huge benefit to be able to land those. One of the best things that I've seen this used for is actually Bone Chill. As a cantrip, making sure that lands to keep an enemy from healing on its turn is incredibly important in some of these boss fights, and getting advantage on that attack roll can be huge. So all 6 of these are pretty good. For this playthrough, I would only really pick up 4 out of these, but these 2, the Shapeshifter hat is really cheap, and the Hellbeard Halberd is, I think, the most expensive thing in here. Yeah, except for the Spell Might gloves. So they're all relatively inexpensive. And if I move all of these in here, it's 2,015 gold. Now, again, the limit for us is 1,600 gold before it starts making more sense for us to raise her attitude first. So if I get rid of the Hellbeard Halberd and the cap, now I'm at 1,430 gold for these, and I'm less than 1,600 at this point. And now it no longer makes sense for me to raise her attitude, so I'm just going to buy these straight out. She also does have some normally really high level spells in here that you can purchase and pick up. The elixirs are roll based, so you won't always get these 2, but there are normally a couple of really good ones, and she does sell Potion of Supreme Healing, which are always really nice to have, which I tend to pick up every time I see them.
Now you've seen what I have for thee. Remember, discretion is key at the Devil's Fee.
Now, as far as the rest of the conversation items go, I can't remember what check is involved
My
here.
most perceptive, prospective customer. Welcome back.
So I'm going to talk to her about the House of Hope here.
Truly? That's remarkable. I like to deal with remarkable people. Very well. You stand before Mammon's Picklock, Latchkeeper of the 9 Hells. My business is not information, nor hellish curios. Not really. I break people into the Hells. That's my thing. Lord Gortash wanted to steal something from Mephistopheles, so I punched a portal into the Archdevil's dusty vaults. And then oh, gosh, my fickle memory fails. If only something would jog it.
Okay, so as far as Helsik goes here, the interactions that you have with her, if you pay her gold, she's going to confirm that she opened a portal in here. We don't have to pay these, anything about that. Pay 1 gold doesn't work, but either 100 or 1,000 both works. So I'm just gonna, I've got an extra 100 gold, it's not a problem. So I'm just gonna pay her 100 gold just to listen to the dialogue, but you don't have to.
I mean, I suppose that'll do. Stingy bastard. Gortash stole the crown of Carsus, pissed off Mephistopheles, but rather intrigued another devil by the name Raphael. His House of Hope is furnished with a great deal of treasures, many related to Carsus. But alas, he lacks the crown itself. He's rather ambitious. One can only wonder what he has planned for the crown. The answers to that can probably be found within his house.
Perhaps it's time we paid Raphael a visit.
What a fascinating proposition. Ludicrous, of course, but fascinating nevertheless. Very well. If you wish to die in Avernus, that's your business. Mine is charging you for it. Of course, such a task will require quite the substantial donation to Lord Mammon's coffers.
Such a task would be tantamount to suicide. Do not even entertain it.
Okay, so you're going to have some options here on what to do with this. And for us, we have a persuasion check and a warlock persuasion check. They're both the exact same for us with a plus 16. The DC on this persuasion check, I think, is 20. But the warlock one is 25. The other difference here between these two is you're always going to have a class-based option down here. So it may be rogue, warlock, you may have an intimidation option for fighters or barbarians. All that does is cut the price in half. So from 20,000 gold, she'll now do it for 10,000. However, there's another way to do this, and that is by the first option here. In this one, it's going to start a subquest for her. And yes, this one is DC 20. The class-based ones are 25. Oh, jeez. And there's the failure. A 1 or a 2 were the only way I could fail that. So at least we're getting it out of the way early, chat. Come on, roll more than a 1. And I rolled another 1 on guidance. That is outstanding. That was just outstanding.
You put me in a difficult position, mortal. You are almost certain to fail. Almost. And so, there is a chance you might succeed. Fine. I'd like to be able to carry all of my precious stock without the need of a team of oxen. There are gauntlets of hill giant strength within the House of Hope. Free passage, and you fetch them for me. Deal? Allow me to outline how this is going to work. First, you were never here. We never spoke. Second, you will perform the rites yourself. I want absolute deniability. Here's the grimoire and necessary components. Oh, take this key, too. It unlocks the ritual room upstairs. There's a blood circle already drawn. Don't ask whose blood.
Along with the grimoire and components, Helsik hands you a note containing precise instructions for performing the ritual.
Finally, you were never here. That is of utmost import to remember. Now be gone!
Okay, we're gonna get a bunch of items here. First, the things that we have picked up. Or that we purchased. But we're also going to get a ritual pouch that has a bunch of stuff in it. I'm going to put these other items in it as well. That we're going to need for this. And there are a set of directions on how to open the portal. Now the portal is upstairs, and this is the way into the House of Hope. Now, looking at our quest journal, we refused Raphael's deal. We did not get the Orphic Hammer from Raphael. Kithrak Voss wants us to retrieve it from Raphael's House of Hope, and we're going to do that. When we go to the House of Hope, we're going to retrieve several items, actually, including the Orphic Hammer, and now another one of them is these Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength. I believe, and I'm looking real quick because it's been a while since I've looked at this in 5th edition. Yeah, that's what I thought. The Gauntlets of Hill Giant Strength, in tabletop there are 5 or 6 giant types. There's Hill Giants, Frost Giants, Fire Giants, Cloud Giants, Storm Giants, and I think there might be one more, that all have increasing amounts of strength. Hill Giant is the lowest amount of strength, and it's 21. We've seen that when we take an elixir of Hill Giant Strength, that raises our strength to 21. The Cloud Giant Strength, the elixirs of Cloud Giant Strength, which ups our strength to 27, they're the second highest. The Storm Giant is level 29, or is strength 29. These gauntlets, however, you'll see when we pick them up, they aren't actually Hill Giant Strength gauntlets. They're Frost Giant Strength gauntlets. They're just named wrong, I think, because they give you a strength of 23, which is really, really nice to have. So, one way or another, we're going to pick these up. Once you have them, you can come back to Helsik and you can either pass a check to not give them to her, or you can give them to her and you can pickpocket them after you give them to her. Either way, you'll have access to these gauntlets after you come back from the House of Hope. So no reason not to make this deal with her to pick them up, because we're going to pick them up anyway and we're going to try and keep them. So now here outside of this, again, we're going to head over toward this direction here, because this is where the House of Grief here is. Shadowheart is in our party, and we're going to continue on with her questline by heading over there. So we're going to head to the Baldur's Gate waypoint. And again, we're putting off the House of Hope. It's part of our main quest line here, and while we could certainly go do it, we're gonna kind of let it go a little bit. Now, there are some things that we want to do with Shadowheart here before we go into the House of Grief. And that is, there are 3 memory triggers that Shadowheart has. They are fairly unknown triggers, but there's a behind-the-scenes check when you get into the finale of her questline that these memory triggers will determine how she acts on her own. You can always push her in a direction at the end, but if you want her to act on her own, then you either need to find these triggers or deliberately not find these triggers. Okay? And one of them is right down here.
That graffiti. It almost looks like it was done in my hand. Did I do this? That graffiti from before. I never thought I'd see it again. Well, I think I was the one who did it. I can recognize my own handwriting. How long ago was this? Years? All the time I spent training, hidden away from the world. I think I must have wanted to leave my mark somewhere. Just to prove I existed. Even to myself.
And that's one of 3 possible memory triggers. Okay, now if you want Shadowheart to become a Dark Justiciar, you do not want to find a second. Alright? You want the other 2 to go unfound. If you find 2 out of the 3, then on her own, she will want to resolve her questline and not become a Dark Justiciar. Like I say, you can always push her one way or the other, but if you give her the option to act on her own, if you only have 1, then she will, or 0 of the memory triggers, then she will choose to become a Dark Justiciar. If you have 2 or 3 of them, then she will choose to follow Selûne. And since we followed the light side, so to speak, for Shadowheart in this one, we're going to continue down that path with her. Now, the next memory trigger is actually here in the graveyard, so we're going to go to the lower city central wall. And we're going to head into the graveyard and go look at a gravestone. Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Andy. I don't know what the options are for super chats. I appreciate you, you thinking about that. But yeah, like I say, I know I put up in my description for every week. I put up a little notification for everybody about super chats and how they work and that sort of stuff. And yeah, if you choose to, you know, I will certainly appreciate it. But you certainly are under no obligation to. But thank you for thinking of it. I appreciate it. So we're going to come down here, and I can't remember which one of these tombstones it is.
Grint Thorg, fighter.
It's not that one.
Lost in Durlag's tower. We couldn't recover your bodies, so we buried your 10-foot pole. Here rests Alistair Marnley,
Can't help
taken
but feel
too
a
soon.
twinge of sorrow at this grave. But why? Who is that name on the tombstone before? It meant nothing to me, yet I felt a pang of loss all the same. You'd be surprised. Not all of us don robes and dark armor. Some people live perfectly normal lives on the surface, blending in utterly, so that they can serve the Dark Lady in utter secrecy. And not every skill that the Dark Lady asks of her followers can be taught in the shadows. Some can only be mastered on the streets, in daylight, amidst crowds. Lying, tailing, observing without being seen, picking a purse without being felt. I think I must have been sent to learn all these things from the man in that grave. Alistair Manley. Sounds human, and the grave wasn't recent. He must have died some time ago. And I mourned him already. He'd surely not have been buried here if he was exposed. He must have taken the secret of his faith to the grave, undiscovered. A very Sharan ending.
And no, I certainly get that, Andy. And like I say, that's not why you do whatever, you feel is necessary for you. I'm certainly not asking for anything like that. And like I said in the intro, I never will. But I appreciate the thought. That's more than enough.
Baldur's Gate. It's amazing how a place I don't truly remember feels so familiar. Just wandering the streets is causing little things to come back to me. Just the barest crumbs of memories, but still. I suppose when you're famished, a crumb is a feast. Honestly, and don't laugh, it's the smells. I never thought I'd be so glad to be greeted by the waft of docks and alleyways. It doesn't dredge up any specifics, just a feeling I can't quite define. But it's a comforting feeling, all the same.
Once you get that additional dialogue, then you know you've moved Shadowheart into the Saluna path, so to speak. There's another one which we will see inside the House of Grief, but for now, let's head back to the Baldur's Gate waypoint. We can head around the corner and head up there. And before I get all the way in there, like Andy said, I will definitely check my equipment. Make sure I'm set up.
It's peaceful, isn't it? Peaceful for the moment.
So everything here is all right, and I don't know why the descriptions aren't showing. There they are. Yes. Everything else is set up here for her.
Sharp as ever.
So he's got the Shade Slayer cloak, which is reducing his crit number, which is what we want. He's got the Spellmite gloves, right? So yeah, I think we are still set. Oh, we don't need the Warped Headband of Intellect on Will. Okay.
Is that blood?
So now let's head in.
Light on my feet.
You can interact with Arvis here.
Do you seek help?
Wonderful little beast. Nimble as anything. There was a squirrel in the tree. Marvelous creature. Inquisitive and nut-crazed. Oh, just tired, I suppose. It's been quite a long day. Or at least I think it has. You wouldn't happen to know where I live, would you? I see. It must have just slipped my mind. These things happen.
This is more than a lapse, you sense. Something's been done to the man's memories.
Well, I remember I was sad. But in truth, I'm not quite sure what caused it. I'm not even sure I know what sad is anymore. And I came from that building over there. They were very nice to me. Seemed very helpful. Although, for the life of me, I can't recall what I was doing there in the first place. There must be, you would think. You know, I can swear there is someone, but their name escapes me. Hells, even their face escapes me. A figment of my imagination, perhaps. Oh, it will come back to me. Or not. I'm content enough here, in either case.
You can use a deception check here to get some money out of him. I'm not going to. But what you learn from him is that his memories have been taken away by something. And that's we're going to learn a lot more about as we go into the House of Grief here. But first, I'm going to just open up the map, head down here around the corner. There are some poppy flowers down here.
I'll take that.
Some valerian flowers and some bixa root. And these, you see they're in groups of 3 here. And they all 3 give you potions of mind reading. Okay. So now we're going to head into the House of Grief.
This requires valuations.
At once.
Better not be cursed.
And talk to Miri.
Welcome to the House of Grief. Or perhaps welcome is the wrong word, Shadowheart. There's been some debate whether you'd even show up and face the consequences of your actions. I assumed you tried to flee, like a craven.
Spare me your venom. I'm sure the Mother Superior will have plenty of her own.
All in due time. This is a place of healing. Anyone who partook in our methods did so willingly, and left with a smile on their face, freed from their troubles. Would you accuse a surgeon of robbing a tumor? I think not. As I said, in due time. First, you submit to the mapping of the heart. Only then can we know what is to be done with you. This is the House of Grief. We strive to help those whose hearts have grown heavy, be it with anger, melancholy, grief, or treachery. Submit to the mapping and reveal what lurks in your heart. If you consent, follow me. If you do not, leave. The House of Grief welcomes you.
Okay, and this is going to update a couple of things. Investigate the House of Grief. Started when we talked to Arvis outside, and updated with this mapping of the heart. And Daughter of Darkness updated with the mapping of the heart there. And Shadowheart was greeted by Mary, and we must continue inside, and only there can Shadowheart carry out her goddess's will. So we're going to head in here, and we're actually going to head in with Shadowheart for this.
Need to keep going.
And there's a couple of things here. So I do have the advantage on perception checks. Okay.
Hidden away.
It was actually an investigation check. I missed that. Oh. I rolled 20 to pass it. Yeah, I thought it was perception, but it's not. It's investigation. And it's a high DC to be able to pass it. Now, there are 2 ways out of this room. The first is to find this button with a high enough investigation check close the door behind you and click the button which will open this doorway. The second is to have a character sit down on the granite bench. When that happens, the mapping of the heart will start. An Inquisitor will come out and will start asking you questions. At the end of it, whoever's sitting there will be given a condition, and that condition is that Viconia DeVere, who is the Mother Superior here, will always critical hit that character. Every time she scores a hit, it's going to be a crit. The other thing is that you will have disadvantage on wisdom saving throws, which can be pretty harsh to deal with. So if you use the button to open the door, then you skip the mapping of the heart. So nobody gets that condition, which is arguably much better to do. If you can pass it like we did. However, from a role-playing perspective, I'm actually going to sit down here with Shadowheart like I did in the Paladin playthrough and let her submit to the mapping of the heart, because for Shadowheart in particular, the entire encounter changes.
Do you know why you are here?
There is something I lost. No. Had taken from me. My family. My life. I want it all back.
Loss is a gift, girl. Do you still not understand that? Now give me the true answer. What is your purpose in being here? I am the one who asks the questions. She is the one who answers. You are the one who remains silent. Now, if all our roles are clear, answer me. What is your true purpose?
The artifact. I was sent to retrieve it. At any cost.
And who tasked you with this mission?
The Mother Superior of It's you.
Give me the honor of my name. In full.
I can't. My memories...
I know what's in that head of yours better than you do, girl. My name.
Mother Superior... Viconia DeVere.
You still have the wits to recognize your betters. Good. Now descend. You have much to answer for.
Okay, and again, that's going to open up the door there. And Shadowheart, you can see, does not have the condition. Okay, you can see nothing happened to her. And that's what happens when Shadowheart herself goes through this. Anybody else who goes through it is going to get that condition, that debuff, but not Shadowheart.
What now?
So that's why you choose to do it with her. So now I'm going to head downstairs.
Have to keep going.
Now there are a couple of different ways to go here. Down these stairs there are two doors that are locked. Okay, and there are different types of training. The DCs on these are pretty high if I remember right.
Should do it.
No, they're not too bad. Still tried to fail it though. And then here you're going to get dialogue from Shadowheart again.
Cunning disguise can serve a warrior of the Dark Lady better than any armor. That's what they always told us.
And in here, there are various things that you can...
Putting these on. Pretending to be someone else. I suppose that's been my whole life.
And in here, there are various things that you can pick up. None of these are marked as steal. You can search the wardrobes. There's going to be some clothing in here. And especially the drow outfit, if you don't have anywhere else, this is a good place to get it. These are a little bit higher. Okay, Evard's Black Tentacles, that's always a great spell. And some more crafting items. But yeah, feel free to pick any of these things up. There's also some more information here about the artifact mission that Shadowheart went on. And you learn that they picked some people who were trained to deal with certain things. Traps, locks, controls, but also ones who are mentally prepared to face the conditions down there. And casualties are expected, but this should not halt the mission. Okay. So now we're going to head across. Now, if you can't pass the DCs, there are walls up here on either side that you can break down, especially with force damage, to have access to those rooms as well.
I think I might have hurt people here. Learned how to break their bodies, their spirits. Quiet in here now. But it wasn't always so. Screams rang off these walls. I swear I can almost hear them.
Hey, and in here, again, various macabre evidences of what has gone on in this room.
Good here, I hope.
More clothing and that sort of stuff from the victims who were down here in this room that you can feel free to loot. Then we get into the cloister itself.
I remember this place now. A whole stolen childhood spent in these halls. The Mother Superior must be close. Soon this will all be over.
Okay, so we'll continue heading on down here.
Keep going. The Mother Superior's expecting you.
Okay, and then Frederick's going to take off and head inside. And I'm actually going to bring everybody back here. And then move them here to the top of the stairs. Put everybody in hiding, unbreak the group, and just take Shadowheart down here. Now, Shadowheart has the alert feat, and she has a +3 bonus to initiative rolls from the Sentinel Shield. So this should keep her fairly safe when it comes to the initiative roll that she's going to get down here.
This way.
It's important that she rolls high in the initiative order for this. Because I'm going in by myself with her. And you'll see when I get down in here, there's Viconia. Okay, now Viconia has Sanctuary to start off with. Okay, so you're not going to be able to damage her directly. So if you're going to come in here invisible and get a surprise round, you certainly can get a surprise round. You can skip all the dialogues here, come in here and get a surprise round against her. However, you're not going to be able to attack her directly. You're going to have to do AoE stuff against her, or better yet, you're probably going to go after all the other enemies that are in this room. We're not going to do that because we're going to use another way to deal with all of these people down here. She has Radiant Retort, which means whenever she takes radiant damage, it comes back to whoever attacked her with that radiant damage as force damage 2 times. So you do not want to attack her with radiant damage. Now, things that proc off of radiant damage that can affect her, like the radiating orb burst that happens in an area around somebody you trigger with radiant damage, can proc on her without triggering this, but you just can't hit her directly with something that causes radiant damage. So no guiding bolts, no spirit guardians, no sacred flames, or with your melee abilities. You do not want to hit her with divine smite. You want to pick something else that is not radiant damage to hit her with. Nightbringer's Beloved she regains 7 to 56 hit points every time she uses Channel Divinity. Now that's 7d8 hit points every time that she uses a Channel Divinity charge. She is a cleric, so she has Channel Divinity charges, and at level 11, I think she has 5 of them. No, she's got 3 of them. So she can get back a significant amount of hit points whenever she wants to use her Channel Divinity charges. So finding a way to prevent her from healing, either with Bone Chill or Arrows of Ilmater or something like that, can be very, very useful here. As far as her other things, a lot of this comes from her gear. Rebuke the Mighty. So when you hit her with a melee attack, she uses a reaction. This is like an improved shield bash that does 2d4 force damage. She has Shadow Ambush, so whenever she's in shadows, she deals an additional 4d8 necrotic damage when attacking from shadows. Her armor gets her advantage on stealth checks and a +2 bonus to saving throws. And her shield gives her advantage on saving throws against spells. So, and then spell attack rolls, like from Elder's Blast or something like that, have disadvantage against her. She does, however, have sunlight sensitivity. So, casting daylight or something like that out there can make her miss you quite a bit more. So keep that in mind. She also has a pretty high armor class, so she's hard to hit physically, but we're not going to be relying on that. And you'll see what I mean here, because look at the amount of people that are in this room. Okay, they are everywhere. They are all Dark Justiciars, or they are initiates of some type or degree. Okay, so we want to going in here by ourselves is not normally a great thing to do, but we're gonna try and manipulate this combat here using our initiative.
They already heard how you disgraced yourself before Lady Shah, how she marked you as the enemy. But it is quite another thing for them to see it for themselves. I am very glad you decided to return. A cautionary tale such as yours will be studied by Lady Shah's initiates for years to come. But perhaps I can make a case for some small measure of mercy. Give me the artifact, and I can at least make this quick.
I don't answer to you.
Not anymore. I'm here for my family.
This is your family. And now you have turned your back on it.
You knew it would come to this, yet still your heart races. Viconia de Veer, your mentor, one-time mother figure. And now, your foe.
Lilalul! For Shah!
And now going in with Shadowheart, you are not going to have any choice but to get into or going in with Shadowheart as a light side Shadowheart, you're going to have no choice but to get into a fight. The Dark Justiciar version, you have some options to do some negotiations. Those options are not here when it comes to the Shadowheart that is Forsaken Shar. Okay. Now, we rolled first in initiative, which is exactly what we wanted, and we want to get out of here as quickly as we can. So I'm going to fly. Okay, and then I'm going to use my action to dash. And I'm going to fly around this corner. Okay. And now I'm going to let them come to me. They've got a long ways to go. These four sentries, or the three sentries and one Fidelin are the closest. But I'm going to have them come to me. And in doing so, you're going to kind of see what happens with this. But before I go on, I'm going to drop out a spiritual weapon out here. Just so if these sets dash, they don't go past the top of the stairs. I want them to attack my spiritual weapon.
I am Lady Shah's instrument. You cannot win.
Lady Shah's will shall be done! Her foes shall perish!
Yes, David, there are a lot of bad guys here, and that's why we want to manage this combat as best we can. And again, I'm not doing anything with the spiritual weapon. I'm just leaving it up here for now. I don't really care about doing any damage with it at all. Because these are the four that I'm interested in.
Be done. Sure as night shall fall.
Okay, so they're going to make it up, but they're not going to make it past the top of the stairs, which is what I want.
The Night Singer shall prevail.
The Dark Lady's must die.
Okay, and now with Shadowheart, we have some options here on how we want to play this. Blade Barrier is a level 6 spell that does 6d10 slashing damage. And it works very similar to Wall of Fire. Okay, it doesn't have quite the AoE that Wall of Fire does. But you can make it work. Okay, so you can kind of place it catty corner like this to make it work so that somebody is always going to be getting a piece of it. You also have Insect Plague, which does 4d10. It makes the area difficult terrain, so their movements are cut in half while they're walking through it. We also have things like Ice Storm, which can cause an ice surface and make them slip and fall. So we have a few AoE things here that we can try out. We also probably have a scroll of Wall of Fire. Which she can cast, and you can see this covers the entire width of the stairway. This has a much larger AoE on it than Blade Barrier does. However, Wall of Fire does significantly less damage. It's 5d8 instead of 6d10. So there is a significant drop-off at the top end of it. So what I'm going to do, though, with Shadowheart here is I'm going to drop a Blade Barrier. And I'm going to drop it kind of down like this. And I'm going to leave the right-hand side somewhat open. Okay. And then her only job is to maintain concentration. Okay, because Blade Barrier is a concentration spell. So her only job is to make sure that that stays up. So as part of that, she's going to cast Sanctuary on herself for the remainder of the turn. And now I'm going to start bringing other people into this.
Time to press it.
And I'll kind of move over here to this side. And my Paladin is going to drop Hunger of Hadar. Again, this is going to be difficult terrain, so their movement speed through this is reduced. And I can cast it quite a ways down here. Okay.
Let's not get caught off guard.
Now for my Bard, I could cast another Hunger of Hadar if I like. However, there are some other options here. Shatter, I can upcast Shatter. And again, Shatter's got a large AoE on it. I don't know what that's going to do to Blade Barrier, though. What are my passives here? I have Repelling Blast. So instead, I'm just going to focus on knocking any of the enemies back if they get too close. So for that, I think I'm going to keep my Bard in reserve. And Will does not have Repelling Blast, so I'll bring him up. And actually, none of them are going to be close enough for Will to see anyway. So let's hold them out for another turn.
On my way. Got to focus.
And I'll just end Shadowheart's turn here.
The darkness awaits you.
Okay, now in YouTube videos, most content creators call this the Stairway of Death. And now you can start to see why they call it that. Is because there's one way into this room and one way out of this room. And they are all gonna move through it to get to you. So for here, again, we've got some people that are getting maybe a little bit too close for comfort here. Oh, come on. Look, it doesn't even start, it doesn't even turn yellow until it's way up there. That's horrible. Okay, whatever. So, I have a couple of options here. So, Destructive Wave, the Radiant and Thunder version, is going to hit only those two right now, and they're probably dead on the next turn anyway. So, I think what I'm going to do instead is let's hit the tilde key to turn on outlines here, so I can kind of see who we have in here. So he's dead on his next turn. She's got a long way to move yet, so I don't think I have to do anything with Shadowheart here. So let's just try and cause some minimal damage. So 9 hit points. Where can Shadowheart see? Can she see all the way down here without moving? No. Can't. She can see here. Let's cast it here. Okay. And again, kind of moving around the corner there. And her armor class is 17, so it's not all that great. So we're again going to cast... Oh, yeah, I can't cast Sanctuary again on this turn. I gotta wait one turn. But I think I'm fine. I don't think anybody's gonna reach me. Except Viconia. She might. But I'm hoping I'm going to get everybody here on the stairway this turn, and I'll be able to start knocking them backward with my Bard. Okay, so for me, I also have Repelling Blast on my Paladin.
One day I'll catch a break.
So again, I think this one is dead in the Hunger of Hadar next turn. So let's find out who it is here. It's him. Okay, so path is interrupted by Blade Barrier. So I guess that's one of the downsides of Blade Barrier, is that it's going to interrupt your pathway for casting spells. That's something I didn't take into account with Blade Barrier, that stuff like Insect Plague and Wall of Fire do not do. Blade Barrier is a physical barrier, so it's going to interrupt your spell casting if you're trying to make attack rolls with it. So instead, I think I'm just going to step back. Actually, what's his armor class? 24. I'm going to step forward and clog up the doorway here. Okay, now that we've got a break in here, let's start causing some damage to some of these who are over here on the left. And we'll start doing that with our Bard. Lamona is this one back here with a crit. And we'll move Will up to do the same. And again, these are just going to be my, like, artillery throwers, so to speak. They're just going to sit back and go after whoever is able to get close. Can I hit her in the head? It looks like I can. An 80% chance to hit. Let's turn on Spell Might. So that goes down to 55 for her, but still 91 for her. So let's go after Viconia here. Start dropping her hit points down somewhat. And now everybody's a little bit closer. Let's see what Destructive Wave will do now. Oh, I'm getting really tired of the AoE there. Of that. Okay, so it's only going to get her. Okay, so let's drop out a Guardian of Faith. We don't use this spell very often. There's a great opportunity for it here. And now I'll cast Sanctuary on myself again.
Your end is near.
So she cast Overwhelming Grief. I'm not too worried about this. It does direct necrotic damage, and it does damage over time with this. Again, I'm not too worried about it on this. It's level 4. I guess I do have a level 4 spell slot on my Bard I can use. Might as well. Okay, for me, let's see if I can move a little bit over here. He's got 45.
Done.
Okay, again, not too worried about Bone Chill here. And that's why. Okay, so can't hit anybody back there yet. So I'm just going to let them come to us.
Let's end this.
Same thing with Shadowheart. Not too worried about much, but I can step out a little bit and throw out a cantrip where if it hits, I can proc Radiating Orb all around it. Okay, so let's start focusing on Viconia here. So with her spell guard on her shield, she's going to be really hard to hit, but we do have something that just never misses. And that's what you have Magic Missile for. Okay, so it looks like my Guardian of Faith detonated and took out the remaining ones there. So again, I think I'm just going to stand my ground here and wait for them to come to me. Because I am going to proc Sentinel here when they get close to me as well. There's Sentinel, or Polearm Master, I'm sorry. So that'll end that. Now, Polearm Master's already procced. So overwhelming grief is what we saw earlier. I'm not going to worry about that. I don't care about the concentration being broken now that I'm down to just one. And with her, she's going to have some problems as I land Divine Smites. Okay. So, perfect.
Let's get going.
And that's why they call that the...
I'm ready.
in Shadowheart, I'm going to have to heal herself. I can heal that. Trying to remember what I can heal that with. If it's restoration. Or remove curse. Let's try restoration first. Okay, so it's not that. So greater restoration.
Take you.
Didn't work either. So interesting. I'm not sure how to cure all of the Dark Lady.
A little help, please. Take you. Take you.
I thought I'd be able to cure it afterward. Not too worried as long as she doesn't die. There's only one more turn of it. Okay.
Still breathing, despite everything.
Awake and alert.
Moving ahead.
So now let's see who's got the carrying capacity. So we'll start with Kurz.
Never a dull moment.
We're going to save Viconia for last. Okay, but all of these are going to have various types of armors and that sort of stuff that you can turn around and sell all of it. And this is where left alt comes in handy. It's because they're all going to be stacked up on top of each other. And left alt is going to prioritize bringing up unsearched targets first. So all you have to do is go down the list.
I have to find my parents.
Okay, and now we will go back here. How badly is he overloaded? Quite a bit, actually. That's good. And now we'll search Viconia. Okay, so Viconia has some really good options, or items. This is probably the best shield in the game. Rebuke of the Mighty is, like I said earlier, an up version of Shield Bash. It does all the same things that Shield Bash does, however, it also deals 2d4 force damage, which is the most damage that you're going to be able to deal out of any of the Shield Bashes. Some of them also do 1d4 of different types of elemental damage. This deals 2d4 of force damage, which is very rarely ever resisted. So, can be really nice. Spell Guard, though, is where this thing really shines. You gain advantage on saving throws against spells. Spell attack rolls against you have disadvantage. So, any type of saving throw you make against a spell, doesn't matter what type of spell it is, whether it's a dexterity-based or whether it's wisdom-based or whatever it is, you have advantage on that check, which is incredibly overpowered when you think about it. Spell attack rolls against you having disadvantage is, again, incredibly overpowered, because all those things that need an attack roll, like all of those bone chills that we were getting hit with earlier, they have disadvantage on those attacks. And you saw how big a negative that was for us when we were trying to attack her with Eldritch Blast. It's like a 25% chance to hit. So having this is massive. The last two we know about, one of them is an Illithid power, the Reflective Shell. So once per short rest as a bonus action, which is critical for Reflective Shell, you can cast this and it lasts for 2 turns. Any projectiles that are shot at you are targeted back to their point of origin. So this is a great shield to have when you're going through the beginnings of the Ball Temple, where you have to walk across the bridge if you're not doing it the way that I showed you how to do it. If you're doing it the normal way, you can cast Reflective Shell on yourself as you walk across that bridge, and all of the people shooting arrows at you, all of those arrows are just going to be reflected back to their points of origin. And what's funny is that they're trying to use pushing attack ranged on you. So those arrows turn around and hit them with pushing attack range, and you can actually watch them knock themselves off the cliff and that sort of stuff when it gets reflected back. It's actually pretty funny to watch. Warding Bond, we've seen what it does. It's an incredible spell. It's one of those very, very useful cheese things in honor mode, where you can cast Warding Bond on a character, and then whoever cast it, you can leave them at camp, and they're just sitting at camp. And you can heal them up in camp because they're not in combat. So then you've just got resistance against all damage types, plus the armor class and saving throw bonus, and you don't have to worry about whoever cast it taking any or dying from it. So Viconia's Walking Fortress is an amazing shield to have. The Handmaiden's Mace is again one of those rare weapons that does poison damage. This does 1d6 poison, which again, compared to the Hellbeard's Halberd that we saw earlier, which was a flat 6 poison, the damage here averages 3.5. So you compare this and you can see kind of how the +6 flat poison damage off Hellbeard's Halberd is so, incredible as far as a damage writer. The real thing about the Handmaiden's Mace, though, is that it set the wearer's strength to 18. The enchantment has no effect if their strength score is higher without it. This allows you to dump strength if you're going to plan on using the Handmaiden's Mace. So you can take those skill points and put them into other places, either in Constitution or Dexterity or a spellcasting stat or something like that, because this will allow you to dump that stat entirely. And last is Viconia's Priestess Robe. So while obscured, the wearer has advantage on stealth checks, which is incredibly useful for your pass without trace, shoot off a bunch of cantrips before the fight starts type of build. And that's something that I might be able to showcase a little bit, because just like the stealth archer build, having advantage on stealth checks does not just apply to archery. You can do it with Eldritch Blast and spell casts as well. Now, since Eldritch Blast is a cantrip, you can just cast it over and over and over again. So you can now cast Pass Without Trace on you. You can have a high dex and have advantage on stealth checks here, and you can sit there and start off combat from stealth, casting Eldritch Blast after Eldritch Blast after Eldritch Blast against a bunch of targets or against a single target, and just whittle them down using this. So it's one of those items that can be very, very useful for a specific build. Last is Sharon Veil. So whenever Shield of Faith is cast on you, it also grants +2 bonus to saving throws. Now, Shield of Faith we don't utilize very much, but it's certainly powerful. It gives you a +2 bonus to armor class, and that works on top of your armor. This now gives you a +2 bonus to all saving throws as well. So, and then armor class +1 on clothing is, you know, very, very useful. So it's not something to be overlooked. We're going to send all of these to Shadowheart.
Whatever comes.
And as far as Shadowheart goes, we're going to swap out Walking Fortress for her. That's going to be her everyday walking around shield until she needs the advantage on perception checks or something like that. That's going to up her armor class to 18 as well. Now, she's holding the Devotee's Mace right now, which does radiant damage, which we like because of all the things that are proccing with radiant damage. So I don't think I'm going to change that out to the Handmaiden's Mace. We've got her strength set at 16 right now. I don't rely on her to do melee damage very much anyway, so I don't think it's a big deal. As far as Viconia's Priestess robe, I'm going to actually send that to Will. And that's just because I might do a little testing with that
On my way.
Later on. Okay, so now for the rest of this room. Over here is the dormitory.
I'll give it a shot.
And in here is Nocturne.
No time to dally. I ought to speak.
Shadowheart? I wasn't sure if I'd ever lay eyes on you again. It's me, Nocturne. Do you remember?
Remind me?
We trained together. We used to be close. I'm glad to see you're all right.
I don't remember you.
Oh. A pity. Perhaps we can talk some more later? That is, if you're not about to turn on me. It seems you no longer walk in the Dark Lady's shadow.
Shah condemned me. By her decree, you and I are enemies.
Only if you wish us to be. You may not remember, but we shared a lot together once. Good times. Hard times. I will not turn on you, even if it angers Lady Shah.
That's good enough for me. I'm not sure what I expected coming back to this place. Certainly not a friend. There must be all sorts you can tell me. Things I can't even remember.
There are, but with the Mother Superior gone, I don't know if I can stay here to reminisce. Perhaps there's another enclave out there for me.
You don't need Shah.
You don't, perhaps. Not everyone is as brave. I'll leave come tomorrow. Come see me before then. I was working as quartermaster. I can sell you some things to aid you. And we can catch up.
Hey, so we're going to talk to her again here.
I can still scarcely believe it. You've returned, and the Mother Superior is gone. So much can change, so quickly.
And here you have some various options. We're going to start off with looking at her wares, which you can also trigger from down here. Okay, now she's not going to have much, but she does have potions of supreme healing, and there's always going to be 3 here. Now she's going to stay here until your next long rest. So if you would like to go take one of your characters down to level 1 and bring her back here, and raise her attitude to 100, and then buy 3 of these at level 1, and then level up, buy 3 more, level up, buy 3 more, you can certainly do that. I'm, again, not interested in kind of playing that game for it, but you certainly can, and I forgot the potion to speed. That's useful as well. She normally has some fairly decent... Okay, so there's Malice and the Crawler Mucus. The Crawler Mucus is really good. If you can't remember it, they must succeed a Constitution saving throw, become paralyzed, and poisoned for 10 turns, which is really, really good.
Be sure to get everything you need. Come tomorrow, I'll be gone.
So now let's talk to her about our memories.
We can talk freely, now that she is gone. What can I do for you? Well, you had a pet mouse for a while. It was against the rules, of course. You used to hide him under your robes and feed him from your rations. Nibbles. I suggested brie, but you were having none of it. She caught you with him. Forced you to get rid of him in front of everyone. To make an example. You always loved animals. But you never let yourself get too close after that. I'm sorry. Not the sort of thing you want to hear, I'm sure. Well... You know that little scar on your elbow? I was there when you picked that up. It was years ago when we were initiates. Some of the others were intent on tormenting us until you showed them the error of their ways. I think it was 6 against 2, and most of them were bigger than us to boot, but you saw them off, all of them. There were some bruised lips and black eyes in the mess hall that night, and from then on they left us alone. Or at least... they bothered us less. A collision between your elbow and the teeth of a girl called Baldur. She came away from it worse than you. She was on the same mission as you. I suppose she won't be coming back. In any case, the Mother Superior soon broke up the fighting, though she didn't punish us. In fact, I saw her smiling. I think she was proud of you. Just small things, silly things. The sort you'd scarcely recall even if your memories were left intact. You had a little hiding place that you went to when you needed to get away. You brought me there sometimes. We'd talk, play, read, do each other's hair. The plait and fringe? Yes, on your instructions, of course. You were very intent on a bold look, I think you said. My hands were cramped by the time I finished, but you were very pleased. I like the new look as well, though. You always did like a dramatic touch. Hidden at the back of the storage area. Luckily enough, as quartermaster, I was able to keep it hidden back there. It should be, well, if not how you remember it, exactly as you left it. Remains to be seen. This place is all I've ever known. In time, perhaps I'll venture out there, see what I've been missing. But for now, old habits die hard.
And Nocturne is part of a side quest called A Familiar Face. And that quest is first triggered if you give Shadowheart the noble stalk to eat all the way back in Act 1. If you do, then the quest resolves itself here after you've talked to Nocturne, because she remembers someone from her past, and that someone is Nocturne. Okay, so there's going to be various books and that sort of stuff. You can pick up any of this sort of stuff back here. There is a jewelry box.
These jewels. Why do I remember these of all things? A gift from Soldanessula, Mother Superior said.
You're going to pick up some various things in here, but also with the high security vault number 8 key. So another one of those keys that we've been collecting throughout all of this, basically. And now I'm going to make my way over here to this door. And this is the storage room that Nocturne was talking about. So there's a bunch of stuff in here, bunch of weapons in here that you can pick up. There's also another artifact mission book where you learn that Shadowheart was the healer of the group that they sent to recover the artifact. And Baldur, who you learned about previously, was the close combat specialist of that group. Obviously, none of them survived except Shadowheart, but it just tells you a little bit more of the backstory behind everything that happened.
There's a hole there.
Now here's the barricade. And inside here is Shadowheart's little area. This is the Night Orchid Cave. Now again, if you're intent on not getting or not having Shadowheart betray Shar, if you want her to become a dark justiciar, then you don't want to come in here before you go meet her parents. You can come in afterward, and that's perfectly fine. But if you come in here beforehand, then you will have to push her to stay with Shar. If these memories have triggered, she will want to forsake Shar, and you have to persuade her to stay with her. So, but for me, I want the exact opposite. So this is the third of the 3 memory triggers.
Strange. I don't remember it, but it's comforting to be here.
And like I say, once you get that dialogue, you know that you have done it. There are obviously night orchids in here, hence the name. There's a stained book in here, and there's a hastily written note. And this learns about a mirror that takes memories away. And what this does is it deals with the mirror of loss. Now, the Mirror of Loss has saving throws that go along with it. And those saving throws start with religion checks and arcana checks. But the whole thing starts with finding out what the mirror does, and there's a DC 20 religion check to do that. If you read this beforehand, you do not have to pass that check. You can go right into
I wrote this.
Losing memories.
It speaks of a mirror that steals memories. Is that how they did this to me?
So this is an important thing to come in here and visit this before you go to the Mirror of Loss. Again, just so you don't have to pass that additional religion check at the start. And now we can make our way around toward the back of the room. Again, a bunch more stuff that you can pick up. There are also some books that you can pick up that are going to have some various scrolls in them. Okay, again, we're not all that interested in it. And now you get to this door. Now there are a couple of ways to get through this door. First, if Shadowheart is a Dark Justiciar, this door is going to open automatically. You don't have to do anything. Second, you can loot the key that we picked up, not the personal chest key.
More interesting times.
Let's get going.
The silver key here that we picked up from one of the Dark Justiciars that we killed that will unlock this door. If you've gotten in here and you haven't triggered a fight, and there are 2 ways to do that, none of them you really want to do. But if you have gotten in here without triggering a fight, so you don't have that key, you can lockpick this. I believe it's DC 30 to lockpick it, so it's pretty tough. Or you have this tray down here, and there's a stone inscription that says treasured in light, lost in dark, and that lets you know that treasures need to get put on this plate to open, and then those are sacrificed to open up the dark door. You need to put 1,000 gold worth of items here on the tray, and then the door will open.
No one stopped me
Hey,
yet.
we don't have to do any of that since we triggered a fight and we have the key. And there's the silver key. And now here we're going to approach this area. Now again, this is the culmination of Shadowheart's quest here. And we want to make sure that she is the one,
No time to waste.
you know, fulfilling this. Over here on the table is the Captives of Shar book. And it lets you know that there are some deceased people that have been here before, but right now Arnell and Emmeline Hallowleaf are still alive. And they are actually here as captives of Shar in this room.
I see them. I see my parents. What's been done to them?
And you find out that those are Shadowheart's parents.
It can't be. Another vile trick.
No. There is no trick. It's her. Jennifer. Jen. Our little girl.
Moon Maiden's grace. It is you.
I'm here to get you out of here. They're all gone. It's over.
It is not over. You see, it matters not if you raise this place. If you slay every one of your brothers and sisters. That was never where my power resided. Every time you tried to step away from me, every time you tried to reach for Selûne, my hold on you bites deeper. If you had learned, if you had obeyed, there would be no pain. But you struggle on. You will make things worse for yourself. And for them. I am neither. I am nothing. I am the empty room. The dreamless sleep. The shadow's shadow. There was no pain before my sister set the sun aflame. Now you exist to suffer. Until you find your way back to my embrace.
Enough! I'm taking my parents away from here. I'm taking them away from you.
You cannot. We are still bound to you. You cannot both free us and free yourself from her curse. The Moon Maiden needs you more than she needs us. You are the future. You must return to the fold. We are the past. And our duty is almost done.
Eloquently put. His mind stood up well to his time here. The same cannot be said for your mother. Such brief, fragile lives humans lead. This is my final lesson. I leave you now to dwell on your mistakes and make your choice.
Shah's parting words make your flesh crawl. There is no lesson to be learned here, only a family's torment, a spiteful goddess's whims, and an unspeakable choice to be made.
She's gone. I don't understand.
Shah will never admit defeat. Not until she has stolen one last thing from you. We cannot allow your future to be her last prize. Not after all your mother and I have endured. To see you again. Your companion understands, I think. Help her, please. Help her see what must be done.
Okay, so here is a slightly different option on how to choose things. Now, again, since I haven't played this out as the light side Shadowheart before, I'm going to drop a quick save here. But I'm going to let Shadowheart choose.
No, I can't. I came here for them.
And you did. You found us. All these years, that dream kept us going. That you would break free. No matter what they made you do to us, we knew you were still in there.
I knew the Dark Woods wouldn't frighten you. You were always such a brave girl.
She was, and still is. You've saved us. Now save yourself. You'll be out of Shah's reach, and we'll be at peace.
I only just found you again after all this time. I can't lose you again.
We'll still be with you. By the Moon Maiden's grace, we'll never be far. Please, Jennifer.
Okay, now I'm going to remain silent here and let her choose. Based upon everything that I have read and think I've done, I believe she should choose to free her parents here. But I haven't tested it. That's why I dropped a save here, is so that I can make sure of that. If it doesn't work, then I will just reload it, because I want to show you this different option. But I'm pretty sure if I remain silent, she's going to choose to save her parents.
Is this truly what you want?
It is what we need. All of us. You were meant to be a guiding light for Selûne's faithful, but they robbed you from us. Now that can be righted, and we can rest.
Help us, Jen. I can let go. Now I've seen your face again.
Goodbye.
Not goodbye. Not even close.
Okay, so this is one way here. This isn't the way that I was planning for it to be.
Moonmotes. They bring Selûne's light to dark places and offer guidance to those in need. My parents are watching over me. Let's leave this place. There's nothing more for me here.
Okay, so let's go ahead and reload this real quick now that you've seen that and see if we can get her to save her parents. Because I know you can. I just couldn't remember if it was the remain silent option or the you have to choose option. Because I think if we tell her you have to choose, then she saves her parents. But I'll look and see.
Shah's parting words make your flesh.
She's gone.
Shah will never admit defeat. Your companion understands, I think. Help her, please. Help her see.
No, I can't.
And you did. All these years.
I knew the dark.
She was.
I only just...
Will still be with you. By the Moon Maiden's grace.
So I'm going to choose, this is your choice, Shadowheart. Okay, so you can push them either way.
I didn't come this far just to give up at the final hurdle. We're leaving this place together. I'm going to take care of you.
Our time has passed, Genevieve. You must not let us burden you.
You're no burden. You're my strength. I think I know where my willful side comes from now.
But...
Hush, Arnel. Jen wants her family. Jen shall have her family. How can we help, dear?
Get out of this place as soon as your strength allows. There's a camp. You'll be safe there.
Okay. So that is the option. If you remain silent, then she will give in to her parents' will, and they want to die to help Shadowheart out. If you let her make the choice on her own and tell her it's her choice, then she will choose to save her parents because of the memory triggers that we triggered. Okay. So that's what the difference in the dialogue options is. We told her to make her own choice, and her choice was to save her parents, and we'll get to see them again.
Everything that's happened. Shah, my parents. It's almost too much to take in. Give me a night to try and get my head together.
Okay, and now...
What path lies before me?
We get to the Mirror of Loss. Okay. Now, the Mirror of Loss, if you're doing this, there's a way to guarantee that you can pass these checks. Okay? They're going to involve you doing a respec because you need to... well, the way to guarantee passing a DC 25 religion check, I believe, is to take 11 levels in Rogue, but start with 1 level in Cleric. Because that 1 level in Cleric gets you proficiency in religion. You can then add expertise in religion as you level up Rogue. But then at level 10, or at a level 11, I can't remember exactly which level it is. It's actually Rogue level 11, I think. You get reliable talent. And what that reliable talent gives you is that when you have proficiency with a skill check, so like religion, for instance, we have proficiency. When you make that dice roll and you're going after a religion check, that d20 is never going to be less than a 10. Okay? So in other words, at a minimum, you're always going to roll a 10. It doesn't add 10 to all of your dice, so if you roll a 17, you're not going to roll 27. It just makes sure that that dice roll will never be under a 10. So that gives you a guaranteed 10 out of 25 to start with, and then you only have to need to make up another 15. And if you've respect and you've chosen your feats to be ability improvement, then you can get 20 intelligence, which is a 5. You have proficiency and expertise in religion, which is another 8, for a total of 13. And then guidance, even as a minimum, will roll a 1, which is 14. And Shapeshifter's Boon, at a minimum, will roll a 1, which is 15. You add in the minimum of 10 from the die roll from Reliable Talent, and you get 25 at a minimum. So you're guaranteed to never fail the religion check on this. I'm not that interested in going through all of that here. There are plenty of guides out there on the internet from some great content creators that will explain to you how that works. So I'm not interested really in getting it for everybody in my party. However, there is something that I want to do, in that with my bard here, for her charisma, there's a way to get a +3 to charisma out of the Mirror of Loss. And I would like to do that. I would like to get a +3 out of this to be able to get my charisma up to 20, which will give me a +5. And that +5 applies to a bunch of things, because I'm binding a pact weapon that applies to my damage and my to hit and a bunch of other things. So I'm going to quickly head back to camp, and I'm going to respec my bard to guarantee this. And this is probably going to be a bit of an issue here, I think. Let me see first. Can I hide here? Yeah, this is where the problem comes in. Because Kurz is here.
Alright, what now?
Kurz causes a problem.
Need to find a way forward. Alright, time to skulk about.
No, I don't want Kurz to hide.
Another step forward.
I want Kurz to go down here.
What to do?
My bard's going to hide, and then I'm going to go into turn-based mode. Okay, so Withers does not have any gold, which is what I was checking to see. Okay, so I'm going to go to Withers, and I'm going to do a respec.
Along as it should.
And I haven't actually tried to do this with the minimum, but I'll try it here.
Or mayhaps a as thou desire.
Okay, so let's start with Cleric. And knowledge domain here. Starting with an intelligence of 16. So, because I don't care about anything. And it doesn't have to be a 17 here. It can be a 16 because I'm going to take the ability improvement feat twice to get it up to 20. So it doesn't really matter what I'm doing with the rest of them, as long as my intelligence starts out at 16. Okay, so as far as my skill proficiencies go, I need my religion here, and I'm going to put my expertise in religion. So I've got +7 in here now. That's going to go up as my proficiency goes up here. So and as far as the rest of this, it doesn't matter. So now if I level up, and I level up as rogue, now it's just dropping 11 levels into rogue. And again, my abilities here none of this matters because I've already got expertise with the knowledge with the knowledge domain from cleric, so I've already got that taken care of. At level 4 rogue, which is level 5, I'm going to use my first ability improvement, and again, none of this matters. Okay, so my first feat is ability improvement, up my intelligence. My skills, again, doesn't matter. I'm already expertise here, so I don't have to worry about applying those anywhere. Second feat is again intelligence. Okay, rogue level 9, nothing matters. Rogue level 10. Now here you get your third feat, and you can use this if you don't have the digital deluxe edition, which gives you the shapeshifter helm. You can actually pick Ritual Caster here as your third feat, and you can pick Disguise Self as one of your spells. So then you can use this with the Shapeshifter's Boon Ring. This is, again, I don't want to say that everyone has the Digital Deluxe Edition and has free access to Disguise Self, but this would be a way to get it if you don't have it through any other means. Now again, for the rest of this, it doesn't really matter where that feat goes. And then here at level 11 Rogue, you should see Reliable Talent. So when you make an ability check with a skill you are proficient with, the lowest roll you can roll is a 10. Okay? So I'm never going to roll anything less than that. So now let's leave camp. And now here, I look at my character sheet. Here, my religion check is a +13 right now. Okay, so I'm at that minimum, 5 from intelligence, +4 from religion proficiency, another +4 from religion expertise, gets me to 13. So now if I roll a 1 minimum from guidance, that's 14, and a 1 minimum from Shapeshifter's Boon, that's 15. I can only roll a 10 minimum for reliable talent, so I'm guaranteed to pass the prayer check here. All right? So now what I want to do before I do this is make sure that I have the Shapeshifter's Boon. or Mark of the Shifter, I should say. I'm going to shapeshift. That gets me Mark of the Shifter. And again, it doesn't matter if I've got any of that. And now as a cleric, I have guidance as one of my cantrips by default. So I should be able to pass this by myself. So I'm going to go in here with my bard first.
A huge polished disc looms before you. A mirror. One used by the Sharans to plunder memories from the minds of others.
This feels familiar to me somehow. I'm sure I've stood before this mirror before. Many times, perhaps.
And that conversation from Shadowheart eliminates the number one option here. There's normally going to be a DC 20 religion check here, or Arcana check, I think, to find out what this mirror does. But because we read that note and Shadowheart commented here, that check is already done, and we're given the number one option to gaze into the mirror. The number two option is to offer this religion check, and again, this is the DC 25 offer a prayer to the mirror. Now, how this works, okay, gazing into the mirror is going to offer up a memory, and you can offer up a memory based upon the 6 different ability scores that you have. So you have 6 chances at offering memories to the mirror. Now, there's only one beneficial memory, or only one thing that you can get beneficially in return by clicking on number 1. And that is a specific memory called Patriarch's Memory. It will give you a +1 to charisma if you get it. Now, you have a 20% chance of getting it. So the odds say that out of 6 memories that you're going to give up, you should get Patriarch's Memory at least once out of there. Now, you need to save another memory for what happens with the religion check after this. But the intent here is that you save before this, so that if you don't get Patriarch's Memory and you don't have memories left to offer, you can reset it and do it again. If you don't need the additional +1 from charisma, there's no reason to do this to start off with at all. You will always go to the religion check, and the reason for that is that in the background a hidden die is rolled, and it rolls between 0 and 4. 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, that's 5 different choices. One of those 5 is Patriarch's Memory. The other 4 are nothing. However, there is a 5 that can be rolled. Now, since it only rolls between 0 and 4, you can never get 5 unless you pass the religion check, which gets you a +3 to that roll, or if you have the forbidden memory from the Necromancy of Thay, which will give you a +1 to that roll. So if you want to get the +1, don't offer up the religion check first, because that will give you a 60% chance of getting the +2 ability score, and once you get it, you're locked out of getting the +1. So if you want the additional +1 charisma, start here and start offering up memories until you get the Patriarch's Memory in return, making sure that you have at least 1 memory left to offer up after you've passed the religion check. That still only gives you a 60% chance of getting the +2. So it's best to try and get the Patriarch's Memory early here, and then get your +2 with 3 or 4 memories left, because then you're almost guaranteed with a 60% chance each roll to get it. So since we want the +1, we're going to start here.
The mirror's emptiness seems to draw you into a stupefying embrace. Your thoughts, feelings, memories, they grow slow and drowsy, drifting away from each other. You must surrender some part of yourself. But what?
And here are the 6 memories, 1 through 6, and they're in order. Strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. The last one's a deception check. This does not do anything. You can't get any benefits from passing this deception check, so just disregard it. So we need our intelligence at 20 to be able to pass this guaranteed, but a -1 on that is not a big deal for us. That just means that we would only fail it on a nat 1, on a 2, as well as just a nat 1. So for us, we've got 6 chances here, so let's just start offering stuff up and see if we get the Patriarch's memory. There's only a 20% chance that we get it, and you can get the same memory over and over again. So it's a 20% chance every time you roll.
Something precious was surrendered. Already you cannot recall its exact nature, but you feel its loss all the same. Still though, for whatever was lost, something new shall be gained. A foreign sensation assails you. For a moment, you do not feel like yourself. You embody a heartbroken heiress, desperate to forget an unrequited love. The sadness flees from you, along with a string of numbers. A safe combination? Whatever power lurks deeper in the recesses of the mirror has no interest in you. The dark mirror seems to turn dormant, its hunger sated.
Okay, so on that one we rolled a 2. We need to roll a 4. So that gave us a -2 to strength. Okay, now you can remove this with a remove curse spell. You can also remove it with a long rest. So you can stack up all of these, and don't worry, they're not permanent. So let's try again.
The huge mirror stares down at you. The mirror's empty. You must surrender some part of yourself.
Okay, so I'm going to give up dexterity.
But what? You feel parts of your own being take flight from you. Is this what Shadowheart experienced when she surrendered her memories? Still though, for whatever was lost, something new shall be gained. A foreign sensation assails you. For a moment, you do not feel like yourself. You embody a merchant, deep in mourning. His wife died, and he cannot bear to go on. Only the House of Grief can help him. Whatever power lurks deeper in the recesses of the mirror has no interest in you. The dark mirror seems to turn dormant, its hunger sated.
Okay, so I rolled a 3 on that one. That merchant it was talking about is actually Arvis, who is standing outside. His wife died, he gave up his memory of it, and that's the memory that we just got there. So we'll try it again.
The huge mirror stares the mirror. You must surrender some part of yourself.
Constitution.
But the gaps in your mind grow wider as you allow yourself to be diminished. Still though, for whatever was lost, something new shall be gained. A foreign sensation assails you. For a moment, you do not feel like yourself. Your mind is that of a corrupt alderman, eager to forget his transgressions. You feel them fade away, but your faith in the goddess Saluna is devoured along with them. Whatever power lurks deeper in the recesses of the mirror has no interest in you. The dark mirror seems to turn dormant, its hunger sated.
Okay, so that was rolling a 1. So we've rolled a 1, a 2, and a 3. We haven't rolled a 0 and a 4, but again, we could roll a 1, 2, or 3 again on any of these. It's a 20% chance every time.
The huge mirror stares down at you. The mirrors, you must surrender some part of yourself.
Okay, so I'm going to not offer intelligence. I'm going to go for wisdom first. Now, again, remember, we only have a 60% chance of getting the +2 after we pass the religion check. So we hopefully are going to get it here on this one to at least leave us 2 memories to give up to try and get it. But we'll see what happens. Let's try wisdom.
The gaps in your mind grow wider as you allow yourself to be diminished. Still though, for whatever was lost, something new shall be gained. A foreign sensation assails you. For a moment, you do not feel like yourself. Disappointment floods your mind. You were sure to succeed, Stalmain, but Lord Enver Gortash has stolen your support. All that charming and cajoling in the parlors of the upper city wasted. The memory fades away, yet it leaves its mark on your mind. The dark mirror seems to turn dormant, its hunger sated.
And that was it. You saw that it changed a little bit in that it said that the darkness left a mark on your mind. Okay? And now my charisma, if you look down at the bottom, +1 from Patriarch's memory. Okay, so that's the +1 for charisma. Now I need to get the +2. And again, to get the +2, you have to roll a 5. And passing the religion check gives you a +3 bonus on that roll. So then you can roll a 2, 3, or 4, and still pass the, and still get the +2. Still, with a 0 or a 1 roll, you will not get the +2. So we're going to interact again, but this time we're going to pass the religion check first.
The huge mirror stares down at you like a great dark eye.
And here's your DC 25. So we're going to add in guidance here. And now I have a minimum of 15. My roll is going to be no less than 10. So it's a guaranteed pass unless I roll a nat 1. Oh, and I can't roll a nat 1 because the minimum is 10, right? So it was guaranteed to pass. So now I've got a +3 on the roll.
You feel a presence, dark and ancient. It approves of your fealty.
So now we're going to offer up a memory.
The mirror's emptiness seems to draw you into a stupefying embrace. Your thoughts, feelings, memories, they grow slow and drowsy, drifting away from each other. You must surrender some part of yourself. But what?
Okay, and we only have 2 memories left, so I'm going to offer up charisma first.
The gaps in your mind grow wider as you allow yourself to be diminished. Still though, for whatever was lost, something new shall be gained. A foreign sensation assails
Okay, so I
you.
did not pass it.
For a moment, you do not feel like yourself. You embody an officer of the City Watch. A comrade died because of you. The dead man's face fades away. The identities of informants vanish as well. Whatever power lurks deeper in the recesses of the mirror has no interest in you. The dark mirror seems to turn dormant, its hunger sated.
So that was rolling a 0 on the dice roll. Okay, so again, I have a 60% chance of getting it, and there I failed it. So we've got 1 memory left.
The huge mirror stares down at you like a great dark eye.
We still have the +3, no matter what. But this is our last memory.
You must surrender some part of yourself.
Right here for intelligence.
The gaps in your mind grow wider as you allow yourself to be diminished. Still though, for whatever was lost, something new shall be gained. You feel the presence of something ancient
And there we passed
unknowable. It has taken notice of you. It seems to be intrigued by you. Where once the mirror showed nothing, there is now something. Memories, experiences, skills, all prized from the minds of others, and now offered to you to choose from.
So now, whichever one of these you pick is going to give you a +2 in that ability score. And again, they're in order. So strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. So we're going to take a +2 in charisma here.
Adoring looks, spawning laughter, and nods of agreement are your constant companions. Is there anything a quick tongue and a warm smile cannot achieve? The memory fades away, yet it leaves its mark on your mind. The dark mirror seems to turn dormant, its hunger sated.
Okay, so now we have a -2 to every one of our ability scores.
Wits and blades.
That can be
always sharp.
removed, though, with a remove curse.
Can't give up now.
And now that I look here, I have a +1 from Patriarch's memory and a +2 from Bard's memory to my charisma. So now I can go back and respec my Bard around this and have a 20 charisma standing after with this +3 after the +3 gets added to it. Okay. So now as far as everybody else goes, everyone else can also talk to the Mirror of Loss, attempt to pass the religion check, and attempt to get a +2 to an ability score. Everybody, you can go respec everybody, bring them back. You can swap party members in and out, bring them back, and get everybody a +2 to an ability score here. If you have, like, Will, who is based around
Sharp as ever.
charisma, I can also come back and do the same thing with the Patriarch's memory for Will and get him up to a 22 charisma here. So it is certainly doable. I'm just not going to spend the time in front of you here to do all of that. It takes a lot of time to do, to go respec everybody, bring them back, go through all the memories until you get the ones that you want, if you need the +1 for charisma, which would be nice for both my Paladin. This could get him, I could skip the +1 and get him a +2, up to 18, because again, he's using packed weapons, so his 2 hit and 2 damage will go up by 1. Or I could also redo his feats and take ability improvement on one of them to be able to up this to 17 and then take it up to 20, which would be from a +3 to a +5, which is also very nice. So I'm going to do some of those things off stream and get a +2 to Shadowheart here to her wisdom score. She can up that to 22 here. So I'm going to make sure that I do that off stream. I'm just not going to spend all the time to do it here
Not as bad as it could have.
in front of you. What I am going to do, though, is head back to camp. I'm going to make sure that I have all of my thief gear on.
Need to find a way forward.
Going to move Kurz
Not as bad as it could have.
out here. Bard, hide, turn-based mode. Okay, so I can't hide here.
Softer than a whisper.
Okay, so I got one little spot there I can hide. Okay, so we're going to steal that. And now I will respec really quickly.
Fate spins along as it should.
Now, it's been so long since I've spec'd this bard here.
Or mayhaps a resurrection instead, as thou desire.
I think I remember what the build was. So we'll go ahead and respec around it. So I believe I was a combination of bard, warlock, and fighter for this. So I'll start with fighter. This gives me proficiency in Constitution saving throws. I get a +2 for my proficiency. If I start with warlock, that does not. That gives me proficiency in charisma saving throws. Same thing with bard. So starting at fighter is going to give me... Did I choose? Because I chose 5 levels in warlock. That would be 5 levels in bard. I don't think I did that. I don't think I had fighter. I think it was all bard and warlock. 7 levels of bard and 2 levels of warlock, I believe. Because I did have a level 4 spell. So for bards, I don't get level 4 spells for a bard until I hit level 7. So yeah, it was all just bard and warlock. So in this case, it doesn't matter how I start this off. So we'll just start at warlock here. For my cantrips, again, it's not going to matter all that much. It's the great old one, definitely. For my spells here. For my abilities, I had it left at 17. And I had... (16 dexterity and 14 in constitution, I believe. Okay, so this might be why instead. Let's start with bard just for our skills. So now here, yes, this gives us our skills here in all of these. So now as I level up, level 2, doesn't matter. Level 3 is the first big level up. Okay, so here, and then there. For my subclass, College of Swords. For my fighting style, dueling. And for my spell here, and I'm going to swap out this one for invisibility. So for my first feat, I believe what I had chosen previously for my bard here, because remember I started off with, I had a 17 charisma before I did the respec. So a +3 would take me to 20. So that means that the 2 feats I'm going to get, one from Bard and one from Warlock, I'm almost sure I remember what I took, and one of them was Alert. I know I had taken Alert, and I'm going to take Alert again. Bard level 5, I get my first 3rd level spell here, and I'm pretty sure I had plant growth. Bard level 6, I'm going to gain my first extra attack. Bard level 7, I should gain my level 4 spells. Yes, which I did. So greater invisibility is what I picked, and then I don't think I need any of these replaced. So now let's go to Warlock. Okay, for my cantrips, those 2 are fine. Subclass, the Great Old One. For my spells, here and here. Okay, and level 2 for my spells here. Again, doesn't really matter what these are. Tasha's is always nice to have. And then here, I had Agonizing Blast and Repelling Blast as mine. But I think it doesn't matter because I'm going to be level 5. So I'll be able to pick Devil Sight later. Level 3, I get to choose my subclass. And here, I have Pact of the Blade. And Darkness. None of the others I need to replace. Now for my feet. I'm pretty sure what I picked last time on this was Sharpshooter, I believe. Instead, I'm going to take this opportunity to be able to get my charisma up to 22, and I'm going to use ability improvement here, put my charisma up to 19. That's going to get my the +3 that I get from the Mirror Lost to take this up to 22. So that's an additional +2 on 2 hit and damage, as well as my spell DC for all of my charisma spells. My cantrips here doesn't really matter as much. For this spell, Misty Step is always nice. I think what I'm going to do is also... No, I'm not. I'll leave those. So now, level 5 Warlock, I gain my 2nd extra attack with Deepened Pact. Now that only works in non-honor mode playthroughs. So now I've got 3 attacks. If you're in honor mode, this does not stack. It doesn't stack in tabletop either. Extra attacks from multiple different sources do not stack. So I think it was a coding error in the original release of the game. They just left it there, but then removed it in honor mode, which, you know, makes sense. So my last Eldritch Invocation, I want Devil Sight so I can see in the darkness that we fight in. And for my spells here, I picked Hunger of Hadar. Which is why I kind of wanted to get rid of Cloud of Daggers, but Cloud of Daggers came from my Bard, so I can't get rid of it. would give up Tasha's instead and put in Counterspell, which is, I think, what I had last time. Okay. And now... when I swap back to my regular gear, 22 charisma. Okay, so that's a big benefit for me to have. And I'm looking around here. Because there's probably something else that was different about this. I might have been using an elixir or something on my strength. Or I might have had my strength at 10. And that's why my charisma was down at 19. Is because my strength started at... That's probably what it was. I used my ability improvement to get from... well, I had two less ability points here because they were in strength. So that's probably where things were, and I had a 10 strength last time. I've got an 8 strength right now. So again, not too worried about it because my packed weapons are using charisma to hit. So... Alright, so now we are done in here. And again, you can come back here whenever you want. So I'm just gonna make my way back out of here.
Don't waste a step.
Just because I want to walk through the front entrance. And for the last little bit of the stream, we're going to get ready for Astarian's questline, which is going to be next week. And then off stream, like I say, I'm going to do some other things off stream to get ready for it. But here, like I say, I just want to walk through the passage. I want to see what's happening outside because I don't think I've ever walked out. I think I've fast traveled out and bypassed this group here. Okay, so they're angry. So I've got a fight out here. So y'all are going to get a bonus fight. Look at that. Okay, so let's go out here and see if we can get a surprise round on Moran here. Where did this guy go? Oh, he moved back there. Okay. Yeah, let's see if we can get a surprise round on Moran.
Your soul is in good hands.
Okay, so we did get a surprise round. Okay, so again, that was my first attack. So now I can make an additional, or my second attack. Now I have a third attack from my Deepened Pact. And now I can use Dueler's Enthusiasm as a bonus action. And that ends him. So now let's see if...
Quiet now.
I have a pathway to get up there or not. I don't know. It's going to be close here. I don't. It doesn't matter though, because I've got a surprise round. So let's get all the way over here first. Go after him. We'll actually stop short since we have a
breathe deep and move.
A pole arm. I don't need to divine smite this. Okay, and then my third attack here. Oof. Jeez. I'll action surge. Have a whole new set of attacks. One. Here's my, you can see in the tooltip, it just says extra attack. And then in the tooltip, it says deepened pact extra attack. So the game's coded it separately, except in honor mode. Okay, now the last one is outside, and I don't want to go out there. I would prefer not to get any wandering flaming fist coming after me. So
where do I go from here?
Let's fly over here. Maybe she'll come in and turn to the left and come after my bard. And hopefully that will leave an open area of attack.
Another fight. Let's go.
For the last two to get in here, so...
Can't even catch my breath.
She dashed. Perfect. So now I should be able to come around behind.
Careful.
We're actually going to attack with Shadowheart first.
I can't afford to fail. Need to press
Because with all the radiant damage she's doing, she might be able to knock Afara prone with reverberation right off the bat. So let's see what happens here. There it is. Okay. So with Divine Strike Thunder causing more thunder damage, which procs more reverberation, I stacked up enough reverberation stacks to proc the prone condition against reverberation. And now all of the Eldritch Blasts from Will have advantage on the attack. Even if he wasn't hiding, now all the attacks are going to have advantage, and this should kill her. Okay, so easy enough, right?
The pride of the gate.
Now let's see if some stupid wandering flaming fist come in here behind us. And accuse us of stealing. The collections lockbox we just picked up the key for.
There's gold in there.
I need to rest
Donations,
soon.
I reckon.
I don't think any of those do anything. No. Yeah, just more lore about the House of Grief and the Sharan Temple. I'm anxious to see what their budget was. Well, they were just getting crumbs.
What have we here? Ever onward.
Okay, so now let's head out. And like I say, let's go get ready for next week. And we're gonna start that off by heading to the lower city central wall, because we're going here. Okay? We're going to the Tsar Palace. But to get there, we have to do something first. Okay, and that is right around the corner here are these double doors which lead into this tower here.
Would you rather be stabbed in the gut or decapitated?
I want to make sure, since I didn't take it here. Let's go to Shadowheart. I think I removed this. I did remove it out of her preparations. We're gonna add Calm Emotions here. Does she have a level 2 spell slot left? She does. Okay, you need Calm Emotions for this. And you're going to need somebody with a persuasion skill, which I obviously have in spades. But I want to add in the ability to get that bonus from guidance. Okay, and now above you, you can see that we have some rats. And we have some other people up here. As soon as you go up the ladder, you're going to get dropped into conversation. So I'm only going to take one person up there to start. My conversationalist.
This is the palace of Cazador Tsar. Entry is forbidden. Leave now, citizen.
Okay, so I have an intimidation or a deception check to make. My intimidation, I have expertise in. That +6 to charisma is really nice.
She pauses for a moment, but keeps her mouth shut. It seems you're free to enter.
And now I'm going to move off of the ladder, and I'm going to bring my caster with Calm Emotions up here. And make sure that you're just sitting somewhere that you can get all 3 of them.
Have I been here?
Serve him.
God's gone! My husband will be so worried.
Serve him.
She doesn't say a word. In fact, she barely seems there at all.
Okay. And that basically saves the guards. They were enthralled. If you'd have passed the insight check there that was passive, you would have noticed that they were under compulsion from Cazador. And this basically broke that compulsion and allowed them to be free from it and take off.
Seems like a good moment to talk.
You one of them? The fangy ones? Big, hairy, teeth. They're mean, real mean. Stay away.
Okay, so the rats you don't have to do anything with.
With haste.
And down here you can, there's a bunch of stuff that you can steal. If you steal stuff, the rats are going to turn hostile towards you, so you can kill them if you want. Doesn't really matter. And then up here, as long as you're out of sight, there's some other stuff that you can steal. So from the wooden chest, you're going to gain some healing potions here. And this door leads you into the entryway, so to speak, to get to the Tsar Palace. Okay, there's a key here, which you're going to need. You can search the books in here. And there are various things that you can pick up, but nothing really important.
Cursed to put my hands on everything.
Okay, this leads you to the ramparts. Okay, nothing down here at this end but a pouch you can search. I think it's always empty. Yeah. Okay, and here is the door that leads you into the Tsar Palace. Now it's locked, but the key that you picked up is going to unlock it, so you don't have to pick your way into it. And this is where we are going to pick up. At the beginning of next week, we're going to take a long rest to make sure that we have all of our action economy back, because we are getting a little bit low here on some of it. We are going to bring Astarion into our party. He needs to be here for this. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. The game actually won't let you continue through to the end of it unless Astarion is in your party, and it will prompt you to go get him if he's not in your party. So we're going to bring him into our party, and we're going to leave Will out. We will leave Will back at camp in place of Astarion. We want Shadowheart and her radiant damage abilities to be with us through this fight. They're going to be very, very important for us as we go through it. So we will take a long rest. We will redo our party, and we will head in here. And in the meantime, I am going to spend some time off stream getting a +2 ability score for everybody else. And not, well, I guess I might do it for the other party members. I might not. It depends on how bored I get. But we will go through and do a couple of things off stream about that so that you don't have to see it. One of those is probably going to be selling off all of these items and all of that sort of stuff as well. So, but I think that gets us to a good spot to end this week. It was a very eventful episode. I'm glad we got to see another way to play out Shadowheart's questline. We're going to see a different way to play out Astarion's questline as well as we go through this, and that's kind of why the two live streams are progressing in similar time with each other. It allows us to explore different outcomes. So, and I think that's beneficial for all of you to see. So, as always, thank you all for being here this evening. I always appreciate it, and I thank you for being here every time, because without your support, none of this would be possible. And this is Commander Jorval saying until next time, fare thee well.